It's been about 6 months now since I reviewed the 720p HD microSD HD 808 number 11 keyring camera, and although it's a great little camera, it's not suitable for every purpose. For some reason, the manufacturers of this camera decided to put the HD internals inside a little key fob that looks like a car remote, which of course means that it isn't waterproof in any way due to all the holes in the sides of it, and if you try and attach it to, say, a motorcycle helmet with a piece of duct tape, you'll end up either covering up the LED or the buttons or both. So it was only a matter of time before somebody else decided to put a similar HD camera inside a more suitable form factor. And I've purchased one from Hong Kong, and here it is. The camera is called the ACT20, and it's in the more traditional bullet cam style of camera. It's another 720p 30 frames a second camera. The box shows people using it in lots of exciting scenarios, and it does claim to be quite resilient to different conditions. Slightly worrying, the top of the box is printed in mirror language. But anyway, we'll have a look inside and see what you get. There were two levels of kit that I could have chosen on eBay, and I chose the one with everything included so I could do a proper review. So I'll show you what's inside the box. Well, you get this mess of stuff, and in there you get a car USB charger, a wall USB charger, a USB A to B lead, a lanyard, a case, a bicycle handlebar holder, a car windscreen holder, a Velcro strap with two elastic loops, an armband, a headband, two self-adhesive pieces of Velcro, and the instructions, which we'll have a look at now. The instructions aren't at all bad for a device of this sort. I'll just list some of the features to you. Well, it's shock resistant, water resistant, you can switch the time and the date on or off, you can record and charge at the same time, and you can cycle the recording, so you can overwrite the card when it's full, or you can switch that off if you want. But one of the interesting features up here is that it says it's fireproof and can even work in high temperature. It even mentions that on the box, the third thing down there, fireproof. But then if you flip back to the front of the manual, it says at the top here, the first thing, do not use the camera in extremely hot, cold, dusty or damp environment. Well, last time I checked, fire was hot. So I don't think I'll be using this in a fire. In fact, I don't think anything's fireproof when you think about it. But anyway, we'll carry on. Well, we'll just look at the specs page here. Well, at the top there, it says view angle 60/120 degrees. Well, this one's definitely 60. I don't know how you get hold of the 120 degrees one. It records at 1280 by 720p at 30 frames a second in AVI motion JPEG format, 75 megabytes a minute, and 20 minutes recording per section if you're using cycled recording. It weighs 64 grams and claims to have a 2.5 hour battery life, and I'll be testing that out later on in the video. The camera itself's got a very solid construction. It's got an all-metal body, and to get to the microSD card you have to unscrew this end cap, and the microSD card's at the slot there together with the USB charging port and a reset button that you use in case everything locks up. To get to the microSD card, it's a spring-loaded slot, and it's very important you use a fast microSD card. I'm using a Class 10 Kingston 8GB card in mine. Now, to charge it or to pull data off, you attach a USB lead into the back here, and when it's charging, the red LED will flash like this. The camera is water resistant, and for that purpose it has these rubber washers around the screw thread here to stop any water getting inside. Now notice I said it was water resistant and not waterproof. This thing isn't designed to go underwater, it's just there to protect it against things like rain. The rear of the camera does have a lanyard loop on it, and the front unscrews the same as the rear, and inside there is the camera lens that's protected by this thin piece of acrylic plastic. On top of the camera, next to the button there, is the microphone hole. So let's have a look how the camera works. The operation of the camera is very simple, and it's all controlled by just the one button on the top here. If you were to accidentally tap that button while it was in a pocket, it wouldn't switch it on, it would just flash this blue light. To switch it on, you have to hold it down until the red light comes on. And then to start recording, you have to tap the button again, and the blue light starts flashing. And to stop the camera from recording, you just tap the button again, and after one or two flashes the blue light comes on permanently, and that means it's in standby mode, and it will auto switch off after 3 minutes unless you tap that button again to start recording like this, and then tap it again to stop, and after 1 or 2 flashes it goes solid blue, and then to switch it off you just hold the button down and the camera powers down. There's no silly photo modes or anything else to confuse matters, it's just a simple matter of on, off, start, stop. I thought I'd talk you through the mounting options or different things to hold the camera in that came inside the box. This is possibly the most important part of it. It's a Velcro back strap with 2 elastic straps that holds the camera in place and enables you to attach the camera to a few of the other things that came inside the box. First off, this Velcro loop is an armband which enables you to attach the camera rather obviously to an arm. And then you've got an elasticated adjustable headband, and I'll let you figure out where that allows you to attach the camera. Now this thing's supposed to allow you to attach the camera to a bicycle handlebar. Now unfortunately I couldn't quite figure out which way round the camera went in this thing. It either seemed much too tight, much too loose, covering the buttons or covering the LEDs up. I can imagine it would induce quite a bit of shake anyway, even if you did manage to put it in there properly and attach it to a handlebar. So I don't think I'll be using that one. But in contrast to that, this is the car mount, which is actually very good. It lets you attach the camera by clicking it into this top part here, and then every joint on it is adjustable so that you can get the camera pointing in the perfect direction. And then it's got this suction cup on the end here which suckers it to your car windscreen. And it's really quite good. It holds the camera nice and rigid. So I attached the camera to my own car windscreen and took it out for a drive to see what the footage looked like. Now this is normally the point where I go and show you the footage immediately, but I hit a bit of a snag. And the snag was to do with the AVI files that the camera created. They played back fine on the computer, but when I tried to import them into iMovie, it just didn't want to know about them. So I decided that I have to convert them into an MP4 or an MOV file first, so I tried various different programs to do this, such as Handbrake or Visual Hub and IVI Pro. But the resulting converted video looked like this. Now I can promise you I don't normally drive around at this speed with a droid next to me, so there's obviously something wrong with the footage. So then I tried to convert it again in a different program, this time in Elgato Turbo 264 HD. Remember, I'm using a Mac here with OS X. And the resulting video from this was acceptable, but the sound was messed up, so I'm afraid the videos that you're going to watch will have no sound on them. Now it's only fair to point out that the sound quality that was recorded on the original footage was actually very good. It's the best of any of these small cameras that I've tried so far. I was doing a bit of a running commentary as I was driving along, and you could hear everything that I was saying very clearly. Unfortunately, it's the conversion process that I've used to make the video usable in this review that's knocked the sound quality down to this buzz. Right, we'll just pop back to the manual a second. There were a couple of things in there that say selectable after them in brackets, such as the time and date stamp and cycled recording, and I'll show you how you switch those on or off. You have to attach the camera to your computer with a USB lead and then look at it as a drive. Inside there you'll find this file which just has the information in a simple text format, and all you need to do is to change no to yes or vice versa and then save that file back onto the camera again, and that updates the settings. Right, I'll just talk about power a second. You can power and record from this camera at the same time, which is a nice feature which is missing on some of the other ones, and that will work with the USB car charger that's supplied with it, or any USB lead for that matter. It's not a proprietary lead. But it's not as important that this camera will record and charge at the same time, because the camera will actually last for 3 hours on its own battery power with a fully charged battery. And these are from my own tests. Now the downside to that is it takes about 3 hours and 15 minutes to charge the battery up to the full amount. Now while the battery's charging, the red light flashes, and then when it finally finishes charging, the red light comes on permanently, so at least you know when it's finished. So the next thing I decided to do was to take the camera out attached to my motorcycle helmet by using a piece of the sticky back Velcro and the specially made camera mount. Now to get the mount pointing in the right direction, you'll need to put your helmet on whilst looking in a mirror, and on top of that it'd be a good idea to cover up that microphone hole with a piece of tape, because the wind noise that goes across there is rather annoying. Now I'll just point out that I've had to take the volume right down again because of the noise that I was getting from the conversion process whilst trying to use the video in this video review. but the sound wasn't much use anyway. Even with the tape on top of the microphone, you couldn't really hear the engine sound of the bike, just a lot of noise really, wind noise probably. Now the field of view isn't quite as good as the ACT20. It's slightly narrower, only a very small amount, but it's just a little bit narrower. Although of course it's a lot easier to mount the camera onto my motorcycle. And it does seem to be overexposing the sky quite a bit here. And the footage is a bit softer than the HD808, but that's because it's not using an H.264 compression as well. It's using the AVI compression, which I don't quite like as much. But the lens is a little bit less sharp as well. I'll just jump in here and have a quick word about memory cards. I've got two memory cards here, both class 10 speed. One's a 16GB, supposed to be PNY card, but it's unbranded, and the other one is an 8GB Kingston card. Now I noticed that the 16GB PNY card produced jerkier footage than the Kingston, and here's some of that footage now. Now you might not be able to see this on YouTube because of the different compression and conversions that the file goes through before you can see it, but I noticed it on my home computer. Now I don't know why this is, and it might be because it's 16GB and the camera doesn't like cards that big, and I have noticed this effect before, or maybe it's just purely a bad card. But I would recommend to you that you get a decent make of card and you get at least a class 6 or a class 10, because an AVI file using motion JPEG and recording at 720p does need a lot of bandwidth and therefore needs a fast card. Anyway, also at the bottom right here you'll notice that I've switched the time and date on. The time's wrong but the date's right, so that you can have a look at the timestamp. I'll just mention a couple of other concerns I've got with the camera. I don't like the idea that you can just stop the recording by just lightly tapping the button. It would be so easy just to brush across that button whilst you're out and about and say you got the camera attached to a motorcycle helmet and stop it recording. Also, it works fine attached to a PC as a USB drive, but when I attached it to my Mac I got this error, which meant I couldn't drag files off without taking the memory card out and putting it in a card reader instead. Now, if you want to buy one of these cameras, I think the best place to look at the moment is on eBay and search for ACT20 in the description. And you'll get various different cameras there, showing at prices between about £55 and £65, depending on the amount of accessories you get with them. So, what do I think about the camera overall? Well, it's a good try, but it's not perfect. In fact, far from it. The issues that I had importing the video into my editing package meant it wasn't suitable for me at all. So there's still room in the market for a decent quality and yet cheap HD bullet camera. The positives on one hand, we've got the decent 3-hour battery life, the various mounting options, the fact it's slightly water resistant and it's got a simple operation, but the negatives on the other hand are that it takes quite a while to charge, it doesn't have a wide angle lens, the file sizes, AVIs, are rather large and they're uneditable. But all is not lost. I've already found and ordered another cheaper HD camera that this time promises to be waterproof as well as having night vision. Hopefully it'll also go some way towards fixing some of the other issues I was having as well. So I'll review that one when it turns up in a couple of weeks, but until then, thanks for watching.